Let me go to the document. Yesterday we have seen only the limitations of servlets and what is JSP container, who is going to responsible to create the JSP container. It is of server vendor responsibility to create this JSP container. Okay, it will be part of the server. Okay, so what is the exactly main use of JSPC is like to separate out the business logic from the presentation logic. Okay, presentation logic means UI logic. Business logic means servlets. Okay, like if any validations connecting the database, those will call it as a business logic. Okay, now next first yeah, whenever you are developing any JSP internally, it is going to convert to some servlet. I said right. That we'll see how exactly our JSP is going to convert into servlet. I will show you the generated servlet also where exactly it is available. Okay. Now whenever you are doing a first time you are trying to request for the JSP while executing. First time what will happen when we send any request to the JSP for the first time. Okay, the server will invoke the JSP compiler. Who is going to server vendor? It is the responsibility of server vendor to add that JSP compiler as part of that in server. Okay, so first it is after that after invoking of JSP compiler. See, it is the first one.jsp and on top of that JSP compiler JSP-C means JSP compiler is invoked that JSP file. So once it is JSP compiler is invoked, it is going to generate of on Java file. Okay, the name of the Java file is one underscore JSP dot Java. Okay, it is the name of the JSP and dot JSP underscore JSP to add for the JSP file. Okay, for the Java file while converting it. So on top of Java file, Java compiler is invoked for converting of dot class file. Okay, so on top of this dot class file, so it can create of a servlet object and it will execute of a init method and it will process the request by calling of underscore service method. That will see where exactly this code is available. Okay. Now let's see. So who develops the JSP compiler? It is the responsibility of server vendor. Okay, every server vendor is responsible to generate or develop the JSP compiler. So server vendor means Tomcat server is one vendor. Okay, JBoss is one vendor. WebLogic is one vendor. WebSphere is one vendor. Okay, they are responsible to develop the JSP compiler and servlet both JSP compiler or container. So it is part of that. Okay, so it is the responsibility of server vendors and Apache and WebLogic guys are generated the JSP compiler. For example, now what type of code that we can write? What type of code that we can write inside JSP? Okay, now let's say let me take off one example. Right off, we'll create one project, new dynamic project. So John batch, uh, John JSP application. Okay, John JSP application. Let's click on next. I don't add of if required, even that is not required. Now I have created a one project. Let's close off all. Now where is that JSP? This is the application. So inside this application, we will write the JSP files. We will write JSP files under web content. Under web content, it contains of the code like HTML code as well as Java code. Both we can write inside JSP file. Inside JSP file, we can write HTML code. Mainly JSP is for view component, right? So here we can write off HTML code as well as Java code both. Okay. Now let's create of one. How to create the JSP file? Right click on here, create, go other JSP. Okay. On JSP file. Now create the file. Let me create some file index dot JSP I have created. Okay. Now this is the default code that it is generating of JSP. Okay. These are for each and everything. What is exactly all these things we'll discuss, guys, soon. Okay. Now it is the title of the page. Whatever the title you want to give, you can give that. Inside the body, we will write our Java code as well as HTML code. All code we can write inside the body content. Okay. Now life cycle of JSP. Let's say I have written now welcome to JSP. I have written. Okay. Simply I have written welcome to JSP. Now if I am executing this one, okay, and let's where is that? Yeah. Let's right click on this. Run as run on server. Okay. Now execute that. So it is going to see, it is going to display the whatever the content that we are say. Welcome to JSP is displaying in the browser, right? In the client, he is able to see the whatever the content that I have given in the JSP that we are able to see here, right? So along with this other code, JSP code or Java code also we can write it. It is a plain text that I have written, correct or not? So where is the go to code? So do you think here any Java code that I have written? No, right? It is of simply, it is of text, normal text, whatever that we can write, right? That also it will go to the client. Let's say if you are writing of some, if you are writing of some Java code, how can you write the Java code inside JSP? Directly we can't write Java code inside like int a equal to 10. Like that we can't write the Java code inside a JSP file. There are some elements are there. There are some elements that will be used to write Java code inside JSP. Okay. Now before going to before going to that, so there are some life cycle phases. Life cycle of a JSP. How exactly it is going to execute that? Okay. There are some three life cycle phases, six life cycle phases and three methods. Okay. So what are the life cycle phases of JSP? How exactly? Already I told you like it is of JSP converting into Java by taking this Java compiler, JSP compiler, it is converting into .java file. On top of Java file, it is invoking of Java compiler and it is generating of dot class file. Like that, it is doing of some step by step, right? That step we will see for one JSP. The lifecycle methods of servlet is init method, service method, and destroy method, right? In case of JSP, underscore JSP will be added to the methods. See, underscore JSP init, underscore JSP service, underscore JSP destroy. These are the lifecycle methods of a JSP. Okay. Now, life cycle JSP consists of six phases. Okay, phases means conversions is there, right? That we'll see now. And three methods. Three methods are underscore JSP init method, underscore JSP service method, underscore JSP destroy. We'll see this code in the generated servlet. Okay, in the Java code, whichever it is going to generate the Java code, inside that it will be available. We'll see that. Life cycle phases. Life cycle phases means translation phase. First one, JSP converting into Java, right? First, whatever the JSP file that we are writing, it will be converting into .java file. That is the first phase. We'll call it as a translation phase. Whenever user executes a JSP phase, then that page will be converting into servlet in this phase. In the translation phase, converting into .java file. So if the JSP file name is welcome.jsp, okay, if the JSP file name is welcome.jsp, how exactly the name of the automated generated servlet class? Okay, it is a Java file. How exactly what is the name of that file? That we can see. So converted servlet name is the name from this JSP file name only. It will generate that file name also, Java file name also. Okay, welcome underscore JSP it will come for the Java file name. For the generated Java file name is welcome underscore JSP dot Java. Okay, the source file name or Java file name of the JSP is file name underscore JSP dot Java. That is the generated servlet name of the any JSP. Okay, this converted servlet is indirectly derived from HTTP JSP base. So normally in our case, whenever you are extending of any class, okay, so let's say you are creating of some servlet means internally you are extending of either generic servlet or HTTP servlet class, right or not? So now in this case, the JSP compiler automated generated servlet will extend of HTTP JSP base. HTTP JSP base, this class will be extended by the generated servlet class. Okay. Next, after generating of this Java file, okay, servlet Java class, then compilation phase will happen. Compilation means so the dot class file Java file is there. So JSP Java compiler will invoke and it will generate of dot class file. Okay, directly we can't run the Java file. So compulsory it will convert that Java file into dot class file. Once the compilation is done, it will generate of one dot class file. The dot class file name is also same as Java file, but extension is dot class. Okay, now instantiation phase. Instantiation means creating object. Okay, normally even in our case also we are who is going to create, container is responsible to create the object. In this case also container is responsible to create object for the generated servlet class. Okay, generated class file will be get loaded into the memory and it will be instantiated by calling default constructor. Even that code also will be generated by the JSP compiler. Now next, after that initialization phase, that these phases we know. Okay, so the initialization phase means init method. So in case of JSP, it is of underscore JSP init method, and service method means underscore JSP service method and underscore JSP destroy method. These are the JSP lifecycle methods. Okay, so these are before that conversion is happening and object is creating. After object creation, init, destroy, init, service and destroy methods are common in case of JSP as well as servlet both. Okay. Now let's take one example and then we'll see of the generated servlet where exactly it is available. Okay. Now let's take off. If we are writing, if we are writing plain text inside JSP file, okay. If you are writing plain text means just we are writing this one, right? So if you are writing the plain text inside the JSP file, then we'll call it as a template text. Template text will call this one. Okay. Now if you are writing this one internally, this code will be right inside this code. The JSP container will write this code inside out dot out dot println out dot sorry write println, that is print writer write out dot write off this code inside it will be right inside like this. Code will be written like inside the out dot write. Okay, and this code will be adding inside the underscore JSP service method underscore JSP service method. Inside that it will be right. Even if you are writing like just welcome to JSP, internally JSP compiler will convert that welcome to JSP to write the out dot write of welcome to JSP. Like this it will write it. Okay, and now we'll see this one. Let's remove this. Now, just I ran this program, right? Now, let's see. We'll go and see if it is displaying. Now, go and check the whether the what is the generated servlet. The location of generated servlet is wherever you created this workspace. Okay, this is my workspace. This is my workspace, guys. JSP workspace. So inside this, there is a metadata folder will be generated. If you are creating any workspace, guys, this one, okay, then internal first it will create a for dot metadata folder. Okay, inside this, go inside this, go to plugins. and go to out of all these folders, there is a WST server core. WST server core, go to inside this folder, and inside this temp folder. Okay, if you don't know how to path, if you don't remember means, then you can go to Google. Generated JSP Java file from JSP location. Yeah, see this. So go to work Catalina. Now let's where the generate JS files located. Hmm. See here dot metadata plugins and this folder temp. Go to work. Go to temp. Go to temp is done. Go to work. Go to Catalina. Right. Go to Catalina localhost. Localhost. Yeah, see all our projects is available. Which one we created? John JSPC 4th 3rd on 8:10 p.m. That time we created this one project. So go inside this project. Go inside. Go inside. Go inside. See. So what is the JSP file that I created? The JSP file is which I created index.jsp, right? It is generated one file index underscore JSP dot Java. See this, right? Now let's see. Open this file. See, all this code did you written? No, right? This is of a generated code by the JSP compiler. See, public final class index underscore JSP, it is extending of HTTP JSP base. In our servlets, what we did, HTTP servlet we are extending, but this we are not writing. There we are writing, but this is generated code by the JSP compiler, right? So it is of HTTP JSP base. It is extending. Next, so come down. All these are generated code, guys. Lot of code it will generate it. See, underscore JSP init, JSP lifecycle method, underscore JSP init, underscore JSP destroy, underscore JSP service. These three methods are lifecycle methods of JSP. And now let's see whatever the code that we have written, right? Welcome to JSP that is written. Where exactly that code is written? Now let's see inside that. See, this all this code, whatever that is there, right? This code, entire thing. See, this entire thing is going inside this underscore JSP method, guys. If you want, bit of one. The control O underscore JSP service method. See, so inside this method only all this code will be written. See, where you have written. See, welcome to JSP that is written inside out.write. So whatever the code that we have written inside the index.jsp, that is writing inside to underscore JSP file, underscore JSP method. See, if you want, you can go a little bit up and then you can see of that. See, underscore JSP service method, that whatever that we are writing, it will go inside underscore JSP service method. Okay, the template text, we will call it as a template text. It contains plain text data, okay, or HTML or XML tags will go into the, we'll call it as a template text. Okay, for template text, no processing is required. It will become argument to out.write of method. Whatever that we are writing simply, that will go as an argument to the out.write method. Okay, that too it will go inside only underscore JSP service method only, guys, not outside of that. Okay. Next, if you want to write up some Java code, if you want to write up some Java code inside that, then let's write up some Java code. Let's say print up some data, whatever that you want. Okay. Now we will call this as a, we will call this as a, now let's print directly this is of expression. Now new date, go here and copy paste my issue. It will if you are trying to print off you are trying to print off some, you are trying to write some Java code, right? So directly date class is available in util package, right or not? Date package is available in util package. So it is of Java code, right or not? Let's go on to run. See what is happened? Welcome to JSP, and the date is displaying whatever that is there. So this is actually Java code. If I am removing this one, if I am removing this one, it is a error, right? Directly. Now if you are writing whatever that we have written, same it is displaying. But I am expecting of some date, right? But that is not. It is taking a simply a text, template text. Okay. If you want to print the date, then we need to write that code inside. We need to write that code inside less than, percentage, equal, and greater than, percentage and greater than. This we will call it as a expression. This will call it as a expression, guys. This is a syntax for the writing of something. So like this we have scriptlet tag and declaration tags are there. Scriptlet tag and declaration tags are there. We'll see them. Okay. Let's go to now JSP scripting tags. To write Java code inside JSP, there are some tags required. Scripting tags. Okay. JSP scripting tags to write off our Java code. Those are scriptlet. Okay. First one is scriptlet, and next one is expression. Third one is declaration tag. Okay. These three we'll see one by one. Okay. The first one is scriptlet tag. Scriptlet tag is used to write Java code inside JSP, and syntax is less than percentage and percentage less than. This is the syntax for scriptlet tag. This is the syntax for a scriptlet tag. Now let's say if I'm writing something inside percentage, where is that? Yeah, percentage. See, automatically the closing also is happening. If you are writing any code inside this one, if you are writing any code inside this one, let's say. mm, Now what you can say, you can write of welcome.jsp. Even directly we can write out dot write, write 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 of hello, welcome to SCRA scriptlet. Okay, welcome to scriptlet. Just assume some message. So directly, and semicolon is also required. It is a Java code. We are writing inside JSP as a Java code. Directly, whatever the code that we are writing inside the scriptlet, it will go to underscore JSP service method. Who is going to call that one? Container is going to call. We are not going to call, right? So that underscore JSP service method must be going to called by the container. So whatever the code that we are writing in here inside JSP, it should go inside the underscore JSP service method. If you are writing inside the scriptlet, then it will go inside underscore service method. Now let's go run it. Next, finish it. See, it is reloading. The page wherever we have done, it is reloading. Let's see. Yes, reload it and search for our message. Even if you are writing plain also, it is what happened? What is that? Yeah, see, it is writing out dot write off hello, welcome to scriptlet. Even though if you are writing plain text also, it is going. Even if you're writing simple plain text also, it is going underscore JSP service method. If you're writing the code inside scriptlet also, it is taking inside, it is writing inside underscore JSP service method. Okay. If you're writing any code inside scriptlet, it will go inside underscore JSP service method. Now, let's read some data from some different XML file. Okay. Sorry, different JSP file. Now let's go to some other example which you have already scripting tags. So what I am doing here, this is of scriptlet tag. So what I am doing here, I am written this is of a scriptlet tag. Okay, less than percentage, percentage less than, right? Sorry, greater than. So I'm creating of some integer variables. Number one, number two, and number three is combining of both. And out dot println of it is doing of all this code, executing like a normal code. Okay, and it is going to print. Now let's run it. See what is that? Addition of two number. This is the message, right? Addition of two numbers, and it is calculated all these things, and it is printing of sum is it's printing of sum is 50. Okay. Now normally we have to write lot of things, right? We have to create a class, all those things we have to do. But inside JSP also we can do all the things whatever we can do inside a servlet. Okay. But there are some scripting tags are there. This we will call it as a scriptlet. All the code that you are written inside that scriptlet will go as a underscore JSP service method. Okay. Now let's take up some other example. Anything? Yeah. Now what we are doing here? I written up some form, right? I have written some form, but there is no Java file I have written directly. There is no Java file, guys, here. But I want to read the username, password, and click on submit button. I want to read this data. Okay, and display that. Now let's go to run as. See here. Go here. The page it is displaying. See, JSP scripting text project index.jsp is displaying. Now enter of test and password is something test 123. I'm entering, right. On click on submit. How it is coming? Username and password. Now let's go and see. So inside this, go back. Inside this view source. So on click on submit, where it is going action, before we are giving servlet action, right? Now directly I am giving execute JSP welcome.jsp. Now you clicking on submit. Okay. Now go to welcome.jsp. What was there inside that? Inside this JSP, what I'm doing? See, just I'm created one variable. I'm writing of scripted tag, guys. Okay. Now a request data get parameter of username. Where it is username is available? This variable name, right? And next, welcome request dot get parameter of password. This is of this password, whatever that we are entering inside the password field, whatever that we are entering inside the password field, that is captured by using of this name in the welcome.jsp by using of request dot get parameter. Even though in Java code also, in the servlet also write the same code, right? But what is the how this request object is coming? Who created it? How this request object is coming? So this is of we will call it as a implicit objects. There are 9 implicit objects are available inside JSPs. For them we no need to create object. Okay. For them we don't need to create object. That we'll see what are the implicit objects of JSP also. Now what I'm doing after writing, after reading that information from the form, but I didn't print it. But I didn't print it. So now I'm using of expressions. If you are giving for this scriptlet equal to means, then it is called as a JSP expression. JSP expression. Now let's so JSP expression, what it will do? It will print the whatever that we are giving, the values, whatever the variable values, that will print. So it will write this value inside out dot println of this name, out dot println of password, like that it will write inside underscore JSP service method. Okay. Now let's run it. If you want, you can go and see of that where exactly that code is available. JSP scripting text, go to this JSP. See, welcome to welcome underscore JSP file, right? Go come down. where it is, see, whatever the code that we have written, int a equal 10 we have written, right? Int a equal to 10 we have written, and 2 where these two, the same code it is written inside underscore in the generated servlet Java, in the generated servlet class. Along with that we have written name and password that we are printing, right? So that is how it is coming, means see, out dot print of name, out dot print of name it is printing, and out dot print of password also is there, right? Out dot print of password. Okay, both are writing inside. If you're writing in expression also, it is going to under underscore JSP service method. Okay, now next, this is of scripting code. Hit something and then submit, it will go inside that. In the welcome.jsp file, we can read it by using request.get parameter of that username parameter. Okay, and it is, so if you want to print inside that, if you want to print inside the scriptlet itself, if you want to print inside the scriptlet itself, this is the scriptlet, this is of expression, guys. If you want to print here itself, means then we need to write out.print, guys. Out.print, or dot println enough, you can give off name semicolon. Okay, name password. We can write like this also, but it is of scriptlet. In the scriptlet directly, if you are printing of if you are giving name, means it won't understood that. Okay, so if you want to print only variable directly, give and print means then we need to write that code inside expression. Then this is equal to out.println of like this. Okay, this is equal to, this is equal, that meaning of that. If you are simply writing name variable also, internally it is a scriptlet tag, we will keep inside that out.println. Okay, now next go to the document. It's of generated servlet that we have seen. Okay, I have not written all the code in the document. There's a lot of code is there, thousands of lines is there, right? It is of how many lines is there? 150 lines of code is there. It is of unnecessary to write. So whatever that is required, I have added here. Underscore JSP service method. Now JSP expression. Just now I told you. So unlike declaration tag and expression tags are produced some output. The JSP expression is it will produce some output. Output means to the client. Okay, it will print some value to the client. Okay. So to produce some output that can be used to display result onto the JSP. So whatever that we are writing inside that, it is printing inside here. It is printing here in the client, right? So expression tag starts with less than percentage equal and ends with percentage greater than. Okay, only equal will come to the scriptlet tag extra. It is mainly used to print the values of a variable. Okay, it is mainly used to print the values of a variable. See, only variable names is there, age and string name. Those for printing of this JSP expression is to print the values of a variables. We can use JSP expression. Okay. Now coming to the declaration. So till now we are seeing that whatever the code that we are writing inside the JSP, directly it is going underscore JSP service method. Right? Let's say for example, if you want to write off your own method, okay? If you want to write off your own method, where can I write it? That case, we can go for JSP declaration tag. If you want to create your own file, so whatever the field that I have created here, the instance variable, it is going inside the method. Inside the method, it is going, right? It is going inside underscore JSP method. That means that this variable is local to the method. It is a local variable. Now I want to create a instance variable out of the method. Okay, inside the class and outside of the method. Then in that case, we need to go for JSP declaration. We need to go for JSP declaration. By using JSP declaration, we can declare the static variable, non-static variable, static method, non-static method, all we can write inside JSP declaration. So it will go outside of the JSP service method. Whatever the code that we are writing inside JSP declaration, it will go outside of underscore JSP service method. Okay. Now coming to the document. Anyone waiting in the lobby? No, fine. Now let's see that a JSP declaration tag is used to declare the fields method. The code written inside the JSP declaration tag is placed outside of service method. Okay, outside of service method of automatic auto generated servlet. So okay, declaration tag do not produce any output, guys. Declaration tag won't produce any output. Okay, the syntax for this is less than percentage, this mark will come, not is there, right? And that will come. So that is called as a declaration syntax. This is a declaration syntax. If you are giving as expression, if you are not giving nothing, then it is a scriptlet. Okay, now let's take off example for this. Go to here. Now declaration test. Yeah, what I did here, let's see. I have written off one variable created, right? One variable created and one static variable, one instance variable, one normal method, one static method, and I am passing off two integer variables for sum. Okay. Now directly these will not execute. So who is going to call the service method? Container is going to call. So who is going to call these methods? No one is there. We need to call these methods inside underscore JSP method. So to call that these methods inside underscore JSP method, we need to add this method. We need to call these methods in the scriptlet. Okay, this of scriptlet, right? This of declaration. To call these methods, okay, to call these methods compulsory, we don't have access, we can't call these methods directly. Compulsory from underscore JSP service method, we need to call this method. That is the reason inside scriptlet I'm calling of m1 method. M1 is a non-static method, M2 is a static method, and I am passing of add method is the right. Two integers I am passing, and then I am taking that sum, and then that sum I am printing by using a JSP expression. So in this case, I have used of declaration, scriptlet, and expression. All things I have used. Okay. Now let's run it, and then we'll see the generated servlet also, guys. See, M1 method is called of JSP. Static M2 method is called. Okay. And 30 value is printing. So 30 value is printing. So what you are writing? The sum value I am using, by using of expression I am printing. Right? That 30 is printing. Now let's go to the go here. Declaration JSP. Declaration test dot JSP. Now see, so inside the class directly, guys, within the class, variable I is created, static int age is created, right? So M1 method is created, static method M2 is created, and non-static method add method is created. It is of out within the class it is created, not within the service method. We can't create a method inside method. Okay. Now these where we are calling. Let's go and see where we are calling these methods. See, so inside the JSP service method underscore M1 method is called, M2 method is called, and it is calling of a add method, and the sum value is printing by using out.println. Right? So whatever the code that we are writing inside scriptlet, that is going inside inside underscore service method. This one. Sorry. This is going underscore service method, and this is going inside outside of service method. Okay. That's what JSP declarations. JSP declarations. Okay. And what is the difference between JSP scriptlet and JSP declaration? Okay. Scriptlet means this one. This is the scriptlet. Okay, the code whichever you are returning inside the scriptlet, it is going underscore JSP service method, right or not? Now let's see and see the difference between these two. JSP scriptlet. JSP scriptlet tag can only declare the variables, not a methods. So by using this one inside, we can't create a method. We can't write the method code inside this one. It's not possible. That means it is a wrong thing. Okay. It is giving error directly. It won't allow that. Okay. We can't write methods, only we can write off variables. But the JSP declaration tag can declare variables as well as methods. Both we can write inside JSP declaration tag that we have seen the example here, right? This is of JSP declaration. The declaration of scriptlet tag is placed inside whatever the code that you are writing inside scriptlet. It is placing inside underscore JSP service method. Underscore JSP service method. That's what till now we discussed. Next, whatever the code that we are writing inside the declaration, it is keeping the code outside of underscore JSP service method, not within the method, out of that underscore JSP method and within the class. Okay. Now next, note is there code which is written inside the expression as well as scriptlets will be pasted inside underscore JSP service method. Just now already we have discussed that expression also. Underscore service method is in the translated servlet or in the automated generated servlet. So the illegal elements inside the method, inside a method cannot be written inside a expression or scriptlet. So whatever that illegal elements, if you are outside of, if you are writing any other things like methods or anything that we can't write inside this expression and scriptlet. Okay. So for example, we can't write a method inside a method. So method declaration will not be allowed inside scriptlet and expression. That's what just now I told you. I said there are some implicit objects is available in the JSP. Okay. Now let's say for example, we are writing of where is that welcome. So here the request object is there. Okay, but I can't see simply my own object test dot get parameter. I can't write get parameter. Just assume that. So it will not accept. Where is this test object? Test cannot be resolved. Okay, but this error is not coming for the request. See, so the request object is available implicitly. How it is coming? So there are some 9 implicit objects. Objects are available in the JSP. What are those? Now let's see. The objects which are created by the container. Who is going to create those implicit objects? Container will create and it will make available to the any JSP file. Okay, those will call it as a implicit object. The container which are created by container, the objects will call them as a implicit objects. We have 9 implicit objects. What are those? Out is one of the that already we have seen. Out dot println. See, out dot println. This is one out variable. Okay, implicit object of type. It is of JSP writer class object. Okay, JSP writer class object is out. Okay. Now request. Request is HTTP servlet request object. Response is HTTP servlet response object. Okay. Now session is of object of HTTP session object. Application servlet context. Page is of object. Page context is also page context. Config servlet config. Exception and throwable. These are the types of objects which you are already default is coming, right? These of HTTP servlet request is of type of object is HTTP servlet class object. Who is going to create? Container is created. Okay, for all these objects is container is created. That we'll see examples, we'll see some theoretical information also. Now out. Out is this is of JSP writer instance of okay, JSP instance means JSP writer class object. Out is okay. By using this we can write content to the response. By using this we can write the content inside response object. Okay, This is similar to response.getWriter. In case of servlet, if you want to send anything to the client, we will write inside response object. Response.getWriter of something will write it. So even out is also same as like response.getWriter. See the examples, we'll see that. See out.println. Okay, directly it is some implicit object. Whatever that we are writing, it is going inside the response object. Okay. Now let's go to an example also is there for implicit objects. I have now close this one and stop the server. Save it. Go to implicit objects. So inside this first out test. First one is out test. So I created of two variables and we are printing this, right? So this first one we are using of out variable, out implicit object. It is of type JSP writer class object. JSP writer class object. Okay. Now if you are writing of anything inside request, if you want to get something, then HTTP servlet request. That request object is there, right? The second one. The second one is request. So by using request object, we have seen that request at get parameter of that username, request at get parameter of password. By using this request object, we are getting those parameters which is available in the UI, the values. Response object. Let's say for example, if you want to write off this one, anything, okay? Response request, response object. Or else, if you are writing something here, this one. Write off on any JSP, write one simple JSP resp dot JSP. Next, finish it. Simply if I'm returning, if I'm executing the scriptlet, guys. Now, if I'm executing this one, it will redirect to Google page. See, response dot send redirect. Let's wait. It will open Google page. See, it's opened or not? So this of response is an implicit object. So that is the proof for that, right? Inside JSP, directly I have used this response object and it is send redirect is happening. Normally we will write inside the servlet this code, right? We have seen that. Now, see it is send redirect is a method of response that directly I am using inside JSP. Next is session. In every JSP session, implicit object is by default available. It is of type HTTP session that we know that. Okay. Whatever the methods that we can apply to the HTTP session, session.set attribute, get attribute, all those remove attribute, all those things will be available to this one. If you want, you can see that. SE session.set. See, session.set attribute, get attribute, okay. Session.set attribute. If you want to get attribute, okay, if you want to remove attribute, all these methods are available by default. Whatever the methods that we can call by using session, all that we can do by using the JSP, also using session object. Okay, that is also possible. If you want session test here, see, so session dot get id, session dot get max inactive interval. Let's see. See, this is the session ID that is created internally. And what's the default timeout I said yesterday? 1800 seconds is the default timeout session. Okay, that's what it is displayed without any, I didn't write anything. So automatically this is getting it, session object. Okay, next application. Next is application. This is of the implicit object of type is servlet context. So what is the use of servlet context? If you want to get of any data from multiple servlets, if you want to get any data between multiple servlets, then application is or page context is required. Okay. Now let's see some username is where exactly it is available. Application get init parameter of username is there. From where it is available, let's see that. Go to web.xml file. If you want to get off anything, of username. Yeah, see, the username is available in web.xml file. If I want to read this value, the username value IBC, then by using this application context, I can get that application dot get init parameter of that username. It will give that value. Okay, and so get application dot get servlet context name. Context name also it will give that. Let's see that. It is of JSP implicit objects. Context or project is this one only, right? Application name JSP implicit object. It is giving that context name. Next, next is page. This is not that much important. It's not required. The page means it is of currently executing servlet object. Okay, this page implicit object is always pointing to the currently servlet which is under execution. That one. This is less frequently used object. That not that much. Servlet config object. Config is nothing but a servlet config object. Okay, it is object of a servlet config. Okay, if you want to get any data, if you want to get any data from the web.xml file that is particular to the that servlet, then we can by using of this object we can get it. Okay, config test. See, config dot get init parameter. So inside that web.xml file, we have a company name. Let's go and see where is the company name. This is of this config test I am executing, right? So for this, what is the name that I have given? Servlet name is testing servlet, right? The name of the it is registered with testing servlet. While executing this on what base it is executing? So if any slash test is URL is coming, then it will execute. What is the register servlet? Testing servlet. So that also will get here. Context. Get init parameter. What is the name of the servlet for this? The registered name. Okay. Now let's run it. See, the logical name is testing servlet. That's what it is registered in the web.xml file, right? Testing. Go to web.xml file. See, it is the registered name of the JSP file which is executing config test. That's what we are executed right just now. So the registered name for this JSP is testing servlet. The URL is also slash test, right? Slash test for this. Now let's go and see. See, slash test is coming the URL pattern automatically. Okay, whenever you are executing that. Page context. Okay, if you want to set any data to the particular page, if you want to set any data to the particular page, then we can keep inside the page context object to set the data, to get the data, to remove the data. Okay, so we can use this one for page setting data. It is of type page context. So by using this object we can get hold of all the implicit objects. Okay, it has set, get, remove attribute methods to set the data between web page. Next, exception. Next is exception means let's say in our JSP we got of some exception. Okay, how we can handle that? So compulsory by default we can't handle that one. There is a attribute called exception. So that by default it will not be enabled. Okay, that exception object. We need to add that in the is error page attribute in the page directive. Is error page in the page directive. By default it is a generated code, right? So along with this is error, see there is a is error page equal to false is there by default. If you are giving it as a true, then whatever if any error is coming in this JSP, it can redirect it. Whether that means that it is a error page, the meaning of that. Okay, it is the error page, the meaning of it. Now next. This of type is throwable object. Okay, like exception object is there, runtime exception object is there. Like that, it is the exception is of object is of type throwable. Okay, if the code in the JSP page throws, if the whatever the code that you have written inside the JSP, if it is throwing an exception, then that exception will be encapsulated into this object. Okay, it will converting into this object. This implicit object is not available for all JSPs. So this object is not available to all JSPs. If you want to make it available, okay, this is available only if is error page attribute is of value of page directive is true. This is of page directive. We'll see that directive soon, guys, in the next. Okay. Now, inside this page directive, if we are adding is error page, then only that exception object is we can use it. Okay, that's what this part. Control Z. That's what implicit objects. So, can we use implicit objects in scriptlet and expression? Yes, we can use only the implicit objects in only in expressions and scriptlets only, but not in declaration. The implicit objects will not be available to declaration. Okay, see, can we use implicit objects in declaration? No. Okay, implicit objects can be used only within the scriptlet or expression because these objects are created inside the underscore JSP service method. If you want, you can go and see that. See, all these objects are created in the generated servlet. See, page context session, application config, out page. Okay, like this, all are created by the JSP compiler while generating the servlet. So that means that these objects all directly we can use in the JSPs. Okay. Now let's go to directives. Now it is directives. So what exactly directives will do? What is the purpose of directives? What is the purpose of directives is, now let's say for example we are writing some code inside JSP. Okay, so in the translation time, it will give some information to the JSP engine. Yes, this is the include directive, this is page directive, this is taglet directive. What exactly it will do that? What exactly it will do internally? Now let's give off some information. These can provide general information about JSP page to the JSP engine while converting into automatic generated servlet. JSP engine requires some information, right? That information will be given by these directives. Okay, directives are translation time instructions to the JSP engine. It will provide some instructions to the JSP engine for converting into servlet, automated servlet. The syntax for any directive is, okay, less than percentage at the date symbol and percentage and greater than. So inside this we can write off multiple directive, single directive and its child attributes. So each directive will have their own child attributes. Okay, that we'll see with example. There are some three types of directives. There are three types of directives available. Those are like include directive, page directive, and tag lib directive. Okay, let's see one by one. What is include directive? What is include directive? What is the purpose of it? So let's say in each page, like let's say in some page we have some 100 JSPs we have written. Each page header and footer is required, just assume that. Okay, so if you are writing of each header code and footer code in each JSP is, it is of duplicate code, right? So instead of that, whatever the code that is there inside the header and footer, that I will create as a separate files, that files I will include. So it is of mainly for reusability purpose, reusability purpose. Now let's go and see. If you want to merge any external files, guys, outside files, some other files into the current file, then we can use of include directive. Okay, now let's go and see some examples. Now let's use of directives. Yes, include directive. Let's what is the JSP that we are using here? Include directive. Welcome.jsp. Now let's go to welcome.jsp. Inside this JSP, I return some welcome to JSP and including scriptlet text file. Including scriptlet text file. I return of one other JSP. some other JSP is there. What is that? Scripted test. What I'm doing inside here, I'm doing up some calculation, and I don't want to call separately this one. I want to call this one from this JSP. So I want to execute this JSP from other JSP. That we can do by using a include directive. By using a include directive, guys. See, JSP colon include of JSP colon include page equal to, I want to include this JSP while executing welcome.jsp. While executing welcome.jsp, please include the output of scriptlet.jsp as well as JSP colon include of declaration test.jsp. These two files I want to include in this file while running it. Okay, now let's run it. See, while running, I have written only one thing. Welcome.jsp contains what is there? Welcome to JSP, including scripted text file, right? Including scripted text file. So this is coming from where? This is coming from other servlet scripted. This is coming from addition of two numbers, and sum is coming from scripted text, and including declaration text file. It is coming from declarative test. So from this, see, method 1 is calling, static method is calling, even this is also calling, even this JSP is also including inside welcome.jsp. Even that output is also coming as part of this JSP. Okay, so the main object of include directive is if you want to include of any other files into some other files, then include directive is useful. We can use that. Next, next is page directive. Okay, now let's see what is, yeah, scriptlet. Whatever the same I have added here. Scriptlet code, declarative code. Okay, now here the content of JSP or HTML. The content of included JSP or HTML. So in our file, what we have done, in our file we have included of two JSPs, JSP1, scripted JSP, and these two JSPs content will be included in the main JSP at the translation time. The main JSP is this one, welcome.jsp. Inside this JSP, other two sub JSPs are there. These two JSPs output will be included in this welcome.jsp. That's what this point. Okay. Next, page directive. Page directive. Page directive means if you want to know about something, okay, it is used to know about something applied to the JSP, entire JSP. Okay, it can be used to define page specific attributes. So what is this code that we are writing? Java code, right? Language, which is one attribute. Okay, it provides attributes that get applied to the entire JSP. So we're writing some code inside JSP means what type of code that we can write inside JSP. Okay, so all those things that we can see. Okay, the syntax is percentage less than percentage at the rate page will use here. Instead of in the above, we are using of include. We are using include, right? See, what is that? Include. Okay, now come down. Now it is syntax. Now language. So whenever you are generating any servlet, sorry, JSP, the first two, it is a default, it is coming page attribute. Sorry, page directive. Right. So inside this page directive, the default attribute is language is coming automatically. This we didn't added. Java is coming. Content type text class XML. Okay, and page encoding. It is using of some standards. We'll see each one by one. Let me explain that. Language is attribute, right? So it is defining the programming language. Underlying programming language used by this page, JSP page, is Java. Okay, now next, import. What is the use of import? Okay, the import by using this page directive, we can import also the any Java files like collection class if you want to import, or date class, if any exception classes if you want to import, then we can use of import statement, import and java.util.list. Okay, import java.util.list, java.util.rlist. If you want to import of any class inside JSP by using page directive, using import child attribute of page directive, we can use it. We can import that. Next, the content type. The content type, what it is used? It is used to set the content type or character set of response. So now it has to understood by the client, right? So what type of content type the client can accept it? That is what this one. So I'm writing HTML code, I can write it. Text, I can write it. So that type of content can be accepted by the client. So to understand while rendering the response to the client. Okay. Next, content type is text slash XML. I'm writing text slash text slash some different PDF, some different types will be text slash XML. So then it will understood of XML, not HTML. Okay. Now session. Okay, session means JSP page. Inside this one we have a session also is available. See, control space, session equal to true. By default, by default it is session equal to true value will be there. For every page it will create of one session. JSP page creates a session by default. Sometimes if you don't want to create a session for each JSP, then session dot default it is true is there, then you need to make it as a false. Then in that case it won't create the session for each and every page. Okay, we can set false to that. In that case, if you don't want to create a session for each and every JSP page, the default value of session attribute is true, and session is created when it is set to false, then it won't create any session by default. Okay, next, error page. So this page is used to set the error page. Yes, this page is related to error page. If you want to give some information to JSP engine, then in this case we can give off yes, this is a JSP page. It is a error page. It is of error page. We are giving some instructions to the container. Okay, page encoding. So every page will be doing of some encoding. It is going to do of some encoding that will be part of page encoding. ISO 88591. This is of encoding format. Okay, for any JSPs. Now let's go to exception test. Okay, page directive. Let's say what I am doing inside this. Let's say this will give up some. This will give some length, right? Let's run it. Page directive. What it is going to give? It is going to give length. Let's see, it is giving length. So inside this what I am doing, let's say for example, if I am giving here as a some start length, or if I am giving here as null, let's try. Now if I am giving this page directed, it will throw error, right? Null pointer exception, it will throw that, right? Now let's see where it is going. This is exception page is executed. If any exception is coming in this page, okay, then it is redirecting to error page. To which page? Exception test JSP page it is redirecting. Okay, now if I am removing this one, let's see what will happen. Control X. If I am removing that, let's see what is going to happen. See, it is throwing error, right or not? So it is giving up some null point exception is throwing. So instead of that, if any error is coming, redirect to that error page. That's what we are giving some instructions to by using of page directive of error page. Okay, that's what this page directive. Okay, next is tag-link directive. So tag-link directive that we'll use in case of JSTL, guys. Java standard tag library, that we'll see is part of standard tag JSTL part, this directive. Okay, we have core tag libraries is there, SQL tag libraries is there, formatting tag libraries is there, multiple tag libraries are available. That will see this tag link directive in that case. JSP tag link directive is used to define tag libraries. Okay, so as a prefix we can use of tag lib, which can be used in the JSP tag link directive. So directly you will not understood this one. Yes, see here. So it is of JSTL, Java Standard Tag Library. So this will be used to remove of Java code inside JSP file, guys. Okay, we can remove of that Java code by using this one. Now I'll explain this tag lib directive in the case of JSTL in the JSP only at the end while explaining of JSTL. Okay, till that wait it. So the syntax for this is instead of page and include, we can use of in tag lib. Tag lib, it is a directive prefix equal to core. So whichever you are using of JSTL core of the core tag libraries, we can use of core as a prefix for those all the tags. That will see example also, no worries. Next, JSP redirect. That's already we have seen. Okay, JSP redirect. If you want to redirecting any to some different pages, then already I showed you this one, right? If you want to move some redirecting your project to some different page, send redirect is will be used. It will open Google page defaultly. So that is because of send redirect. I want to, whenever executing of this JSP file, redirect to this page to google.com. That's what I'm telling. Okay, it will redirect it. Okay. Next, what is the next? It is of JSP redirective. Okay. Now next, JSP actions. JSP actions. What will do inside this JSP actions? So directives. What is the purpose of directives? Will be used in case of translation time. We'll use it, right? For processing of any user request, first it will do of translation. That time that directives will be used. Okay. Unlike directives, actions are re-evaluated each time the page is accessed. So if you are doing up some action for any of the JSP page, each time by using this JSP actions, we can evaluate it. We can evaluate that one. Now let's see. So I think I have done one small mistake, guys. So inside this case, it is of JSP action include. So instead of that, we need to use here as at the date include. Okay. Even this one we can, or even we can use of what has happened. This of include. Sorry, JSP include. It is of JSP include. Let's see what is happening. Um, Yeah, even this is also JSP include will be used to include of some other pages into the current page. Okay, just now it is of another provision they have given to include the JSPs. Okay, like include page directive, this is also used to insert the JSP files inside another JSP file. It's a different approach. Okay, JSP colon include action tag is used to include the content of another resource. Okay, it may be HTML, it may be JSP, or it may be servlet. Anything that we can use it. Okay, it is mm, it includes the resource at the request time, so it is a better performance or dynamic pages because of it may be changes some in future. Let's say dynamically you are doing of some changes in the pages. Okay, so instead of that, if wherever you are added that, let's say one page you are using 100 times means, so if you are one place, that code if you are using 100 places, 100 places we need to replace it. Okay, if you are including that file, if you are one place we are modifying that in the file, you can include that file in all the pages. It will reflect it. We don't need to do in all the pages. Okay, it is for reusability also. Now let's go to project and then we'll see JSP actions. close off this one. Let's see JSP accent tags. Yeah, using this project, we'll see that. Using one project, JSP actions, we'll see. The include is nothing, that is simple. JSP forward. Okay, JSP forward is if you want to forward from one JSP to some other JSP, from one JSP to some different JSP, then we need of, let's see, second, where exactly second.jsp is available. Let's identify it. Yes, JSP action tags here. JSP action tag. So what I am doing here, first go to first one here. What I am doing in this main page and the main.jsp. So header and footer is common for all the JSPs, right? So if I want to include header and footer in the main JSP, so directly we can use JSP include. Okay. So if you are modifying of JSP page, let's say 100 pages is there. Okay. If you are modifying here, then all the 100 pages will modify it in the header part. Okay, if you are adding all this code in the each and every page, then 100 pages you need to modify it. Okay, instead of that, we can modify, we can take as a separate file that common code, and I can include that file inside the main pages. That's what for a JSP include. JSP forward. JSP forward means JSP forward will be used for redirecting the request. Okay. So from one JSP to another JSP or one servlet to another servlet, if you want to redirect any request, then we can use of JSP forward. JSP forward, we can use it. Now let's say, for example, when this action is encountered on the JSP page, the control gets transferred to the page mentioned in this section. Let's say, so while executing, what I am doing, I am executing first.jsp, but while transferring the control, okay, so I am transferring this control to some different JSP. So that time JSP colon forward of that page, whichever the page that you want to forward the request or something, then we need to mention that JSP. Then the control will forward from first.jsp to second.jsp. Now let's go and run it. First dot, where is that? Yeah. So what I'm doing, I'm doing of this is first page, but in the second page, what is there? This is second page is there. Okay. Now let's run this page. What will happen? It is forwarding that first JSP to second JSP. Only second.jsp is executing. Even though I started as a first.jsp, that is forwarding that request to second.jsp. Okay. That is what, if you want to forward the request from one page to another page, then directly the control goes to the transferred or mentioned page in the JSP. In this case, second.jsp, it will go that. Okay. Now forward. That is a forward. Now if you want to, let's one second, stuff second.jsp, nothing. These are only tags, guys. Okay, nothing. Even that, it is not that much important also. Next, when now when JSP engine would execute first.jsp in the above code, after action tag, after that action, the request will be transferred to another page that is called second.jsp. Okay, first and second.jsp should be in the same directory, guys, must be. Otherwise, we have to specify the complete path of that second.jsp. Next, parameters. What is params? So now if I want to set some data in this JSPs, I didn't use any Java code, right, guys, right? We didn't write anything, right? Now, if you want to, if you want to set some data to the parameters defaultly, okay. So let's say one JSP page is there. Let's go to .jsp. What I have written inside this one, JSP colon parameter. Parameter name is username and password. For that values also I have set IBC Techno and Techno 1234. So whenever we are executing this one, whenever we are executing this, sorry, whenever you are executing that JSP, while forwarding or including that request, we are allowed to send some parameters along with forwarding to that. I want to send some data to that JSP. I am executing a third.jsp. Along with that, so it is including a fourth.jsp. In the fourth.jsp, if you want to get of these parameters, then we can get that by using of params. JSP to set the parameters, we are using as parameters. Now for getting that, we can use of request.get parameter. In the fourth.jsp, we can use to get those values. Okay, now let's go to in the fourth.jsp. What was there? See, whatever that we are setting inside that third.jsp, that we are getting by using request.parameter. So that means that action parameter is JSP colon param is used to set some data to the parameters. So instead of setting go to request or set parameter, request or get parameter, like instead of that, so directly we can use as a JSP colon param to set the values to any parameters that we can get by using request at get parameter. But normally in case of before, what we are doing, so like how input type text, like that we are writing code, right? Input type text, type text, like this we are doing, right? So but in this case, directly we are setting that username is a field name and value is this one. So directly we are setting these parameters with values, so that we can get by using request.get parameter. That is default. This is only for setting the parameters. Okay, that is of this one use bean. Next is use bean. So what is the use of this use bean? So let's say I have some classes there. Okay, I have some class. Inside such some data was also there. Okay, so instead of using of the class and writing of setter methods and getter methods, I will use of use bean method. Use bean method to set the data and to get the data. Okay, so let's take off one example. So what we are doing? So a Java bean is a class that should have following conventions. It should have no argument constructor. It should be serializable because it should travel in the network level. Okay, network. So it should provide methods to setters and getters is required to set the value to get the value. Okay. So this action is useful when you want to use beans in the JSP page. JSP colon use bean for declaring, instantiating, initializing. For all those things that we can use by using a use bean method. Okay, JSP use bean. Now let's see that one example. Set property method is there. Get property method for setting and getting. Okay. Now let's assume of that this is one class, employee class. What is there? Employee name, username, and password, email ID. 4 parameters is there in one class. Okay. Now for this class, use use bin method. Okay. In the registration.jsp, what I'm doing? Let's come down. See here. So what I'm doing? All this part I have added in employees.jsp. Yeah. So in the first JSP, what I'm doing? Let's go to where is that? Registration dot JSP Gopher. Where is that? Let me copy employees details dot. I think this one. Yeah. So what I'm doing? So inside this class, normally it is one class is there. Inside this, we have setters and we have employees object is there. So if I want to use in the JSP, if I want to set the data, if I want to get the data in the JSP directly, then in the register.jsp, what I'm doing? So name, username, password, email ID. All these parameters I'm setting as a form. Okay. While submitting register button inside this employee.details.jsp in this one. So directly I will use one tag JSP colon use bean tag. So this is the object of employee class. Object of employee class. This is the com.ibc dot employee. So for this, if I want to set all the data, just give as star. Give as star, and this is the name of the object. Okay, for each, and if you want to set the specific parameter value by using setter method, by using of JSP setter property. Okay, this is the name of the property, this is the object, this is the parameter name. Okay, for this value, all this value will be set by using, by using that we can get that values. See, setter property and getter property, instead of writing that Java code here, directly using of that use bin, we can create the object for this class, and we can set the properties for that, we can get the values for that which we are assigned. Now let's try for this. Anyone is waiting? Now let's run this component, or else directly you can run this registration.jsp. So now let's take off IBC, 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 and IBC at gmail.com. Okay, just click on register. Just wait. Yeah, now let's see the view source. Directly we are getting, but the getting of data, how we are getting, we are not using any action here servlet. Directly in the JSP to JSP, I'm using of use bean tag to get the data which we have entered in the other page. That values is based on some class. So whatever the properties of this class is mapped to this use bean. So if you are using set property, then that value will be set that one. If you are giving property as star, means all will set that. Okay, now to get that values which you have entered, by using get property, the name of the property, employee name, username, password, and email id. So this is the object, name is the object, this is the property name. Okay, now what was happened here, let's see. Employee name, IBC, all I entered as IBC. Now here, so instead of writing of that object directly, request that get parameter, all those things, by using a use bin pojo class, using Java bin, whatever the properties of that one, that we can set the values and get the values by using a setter property and getter property. Anyhow, this feature we are not using, guys. Okay, no worry, just to remember that. Okay, not that much important all these things, but I need to cover now. JSTL. Now I said the taglib directives we will discuss. Taglib directives that we will discuss as part of JSTL, I told you, right? So what is the purpose of JSTL? The purpose of JSTL is normally if you want to write off any code inside JSP means, so we need to write off Java code, right? So we need to write inside the scriptlet, all those things we need to write it. But if you are using JSTL tags, we don't need to use of Java code here. Okay, no need to use scriptlet. It avoids the use of scriptlet tags. Now for fast development also we can use of JSTL. It has providing a lot of tags, JSTL tag libraries. One is core tag library, core tags and formatting, functions, SQL and XML. But in our Java we will use of core tag libraries. Okay, so what is JSP? JSP standard tag library. What is mean by JSTL means, guys? Represent set of tags. Set of tags that will be used to simplify our JSP development. So till now we are writing of scriptlet, declarations, expressions, all those things we are writing to simplify of the development of JSPs. JSPs we can be used. It will improve the readability, as well as it will improve the productivity also. We can develop fastly. Okay, we can write the code very fast. Now let's go for what are the core tag libraries. Okay, what is the syntax of JSTL first, and then we'll go for a core tag. Open. Now let's see. Yeah, core tag libraries. So core tag libraries, the syntax for any JSTL is it is of less than percentage. This is common up to taglib is common. The URI is to whichever you want to, either core tag libraries or functions or a format or XML or SQL, whichever the tag libraries that you are using. Okay, JSTL tag libraries. That path we need to use. From there, it will download all the tags. We don't need to do anything. So from there, it will pick all those whatever the tag libraries that is available, the tags that we can use by using of for each and every tag. Instead of using of this entire URL, just I'm replacing this with this prefix value c colon some. If you are using any tag of the core, then directly we can mention instead of entire URL, we can use of c. It will represent that. That is of prefix. For each and every tags that under the core, we can use of c is the prefix. Okay, if you are include tag libraries, this is the URL for that. For formatting, this is the URL for that. For SQL, this is the URL. Okay, but mostly we'll use of this one only if anything required means. Okay, now core tag libraries. So there are some core tag libraries. There are some. What are the core tag libraries? Is like c colon out. Out is a under that core tag libraries. It is available. If you want to use of entire URL, okay, go a little bit up. Instead of writing, if I want to use of out tag, then instead of mentioning of like this, so for this I'm using as a some name prefix. So that will represent that one c colon. Yeah, this will represent that entire URL. Okay, under core tag libraries we are using C will represent. If you are using of any SQL tag libraries, then SQL. You can keep off anything, whatever that you want, you can use it this name, but you need to use this name as for the tags which you are using under that SQL means SQL. So it compulsory prefix is required. Otherwise, it can't identify that tags. Okay. Now let's see one example. Core tag libraries. It defines some standard actions to perform programming general stuff like conditional checking, loops. It can also perform of some JSP fundamental tasks such as like setting the attribute values, writing some output, and redirecting the request to other pages. Like this, all these things it can do by using this core tag libraries. Okay. Now let's take off first example c colon out. Let's go to project, close all, JSTL, c colon out, core out. So what I'm doing, this is a page, this is common things. So to include of any taglib directives, JSTL tag libraries, compulsory the taglib directive is required. Before we have discussed page and include directive, right? Page and include now it is of taglib directives. So now, so this is the URI is the first part from which tag libraries you want to use. I want to use of core tag libraries. So instead of using of entire URL, the prefix I'm using as C. Okay. Now to use of any of the tags under this one, I'm using of C is the prefix for that. Okay. Now username password C colon out. C colon out. Out is what is the use of out? To print values to the client. Before out dot println we are writing, right? Now in this course, in this case, we are using of C colon out. So here it is not a Java code, guys. It is not a Java code. It is of JSTL. Okay. To remove of Java code, we can use JSTL also. C colon out, value for that is from where you want to get it. So param dot username, the default value is IBC, default password is text 123. Okay, and some value is also there from where it is coming. Now let's go and check in any other pages that we are using. Let's wait 1 second. What is the use of? So by default, JSTL functionality is not available to JSP, guys. By default, this is not available. We have to add some jar files extra to the application. Okay, what are those jar files? Means let's go and go to see here. This is the JSTL 1.2 jar file is required to use of these tags. Okay, by default, those are not available. Okay. Now to make core libraries available to JSP, we have to declare taglib directive as follows. This one we have added in the JSP. What is the use of C colon out tag? It is similar to the JSP expression. Similar to the JSP expression to print some value to the client. Okay, but it can only be used with the expression. Okay, to display of that value will be used this one. Okay, it will display the result of an expression. It is similar to like this one, less than percentage equal is of expression, right? Now let's see in this case index.jsp. First open index.jsp. What I am doing here, I am entering up some username and password in the JSP. Okay, I want to use of these data to get the data and print it. How to do that? So normally request.get parameter will use it, right or not? By using of C colon out parameter, okay, we can do that. Whatever that we are entered here, let's run it. See in this page what I am doing now. Let's go to outside. Write it. So now let's view the page source. If you are entering username and password and click on submit, it is going to coreout.jsp. It is going to coreout.jsp. Let's say example of Rakesh and give off some test 123. Submit it. So username is Rakesh is coming, password is test 123 is coming. Right? Now let's go here. Go to our index.core.jsp. What I am doing, whatever the value that is there inside a username, whatever that is there in the username field, I want to get it. I want to get that value by using of param dot. This is the dollar and this bracket compulsory. It is syntax, guys. Compulsory to display of values in the by using JSTL. Okay, default value is IBC. What is the value it is coming? Whatever that value that I have entered, it is coming here. Now let's say for example, if I'm not giving anything, just assume default values. Now see what was happened. Default value I given, but it is not a value. Why it is not coming? Default value. Now let's see. Normally it should come that value. Let's see. So soon that. Now it is a for displaying of whatever the values that we are entered. Instead of using of request.get parameter and out.println, we can use of C colon out for printing of that values. Okay, instead of that. Now next one. Next, let's see. We'll see in the soon that also why it is not coming. JSTL course set tag. Set tag is to set some value defaultly for setting of some data. Now let's take off, go to set, core set. So what I'm doing here, so I'm using of set variable equal to x, value equal to 10, scope equal to request only until that request is processing of that until that JSP is executing. This values will be set inside that variables. Okay, so if for setting of that variables we will use of the C colon set. Now let's see how to run this. Now I'm setting means then inside this variable I'm doing of some calculation. I'm doing of some calculation. Now let's run it. Already it is running, right? Now C colon core set. Now let's run it. and I kept that value inside application, guys. We can access that value anywhere. The meaning of this. Okay. Result is coming as 30. Now let's say for example index.jsp. Index.jsp has given open index capital I. Index dot capital I. Okay. Now let's try for some values. Now in this case, whatever that value that I have given 30, from where it is coming? It is coming from the core dot set. I set this value variable equal to sum and value equal to 30 and scope I given as here application. Okay. Now let's say for example if I'm keeping here as a request, if I'm keeping here as request, then now try. It won't get that 30 value again. Index dot JSP. Now give us some values. What happened? Result is coming. Now let's restart. It is of a request scope, right? It should not come. Maybe let's run it. If you're keeping as a request scope means it should not get that value, guys. Core out. Not core out. Sir, core set. Core. Your core set. What is the JSP name? Let me see 1 second. Core set. Core set dot JSP. It's giving 30. Now index dot JSP is there means then it is of C. It is not giving the result because I set it as a request scope. So if you are giving as a application scope, then all applications we can get off that one. We can in all the pages we can get that value. It is of entire pages any of the JSPs that we can get if you are keeping the scope as application means. Okay. Now next is JSTL core remove JSP. Okay. So what is the remove that value? Let's see. Remove. So remove means for removing of that value, guys. Let's see what I am doing. X and let's stop it now. So what I'm doing now? So I'm keeping here as I'm keeping some x and y value as 40 and 60. Scope equal to I kept as page scope. Okay, the values and the sum of those two variables is I kept it in the session. Okay, but before going to after displaying that some value, I'm removing off all those values from that scopes. Okay, after that if you are printing off that value, let's see. Now let's run it. If you want to remove any values from the scopes, then we need to use of C colon remove. See, first it is giving as 100. Why? First, 1 second. In the first what I'm doing, x and y value is 40 and 60. Okay, that value I have printed. Next, I'm removing of those values from the scopes. X is removed, Y is removed, and sum is also removed. So if sum is nothing is there, the default value I kept as 1000. Default value I kept it as 1000. Let's comment of this part. Comment of this part, and then try it again. Comment of this part and try it again. Now let's see. See, this time it is giving up, just I refresh the page. Okay, this time both is giving us 100. That means it is not removed from the scope. If you want to remove any values from the scopes, page scope, apply scope or session scope from anywhere, then we need to use of remove tag lib directive, remove core tag. Okay, Control Z. Next, remove is done. Next, if. So, if when we will use if you want to do some conditional check, if you want to use of any conditional check in the code, if condition we will write it, right. If in that case we can use of if c colon if tag. Okay, c colon if tag is used for testing of some condition. It display the body content if the expression evaluated is true. If condition is for true means then only that body will print it. Now let's see that. C colon if. What I am doing, I am setting some value as x equal 10, value equal to variable equal to x, value equal to 10, and I kept the scope is request. Fine. If x equal to 11, if x equal to 11, execute this part. Okay, C colon if is open part, C colon if is end part. This one, see guys, this part will be executed only when x equal to 11. Okay, now let's see. So whatever that we can use by using of those scriptlet and expressions, okay, that we can use by using of JSTL tags, guys. It is not a Java. See, it is not printing anything, right? Now let's say, for example, change that to change the value to where is that core if, change it to 10. Now let's refresh it. Refresh the page. See, so I said, guys, in the initial time for JSPs, we don't need to redeploy, recompile, nothing is required. Just refresh is enough. Okay. See, if I'm changing this to some other else, then it is not, it won't print it. The condition will not satisfy it. See, okay. This is of C colon if for conditional writing any conditional checks. Next, so for each is there for iterating of data. For each, for iterating of data in the we'll use a for loop or for each loop, right? So even by using JSTL also we can iterate the data. That is by using of C colon for each tag is there. Okay, it is an iteration tag used for repeating the nested body content for fixed number of times over the collection. Now, if you want to iterate of multiple times some code, then we can use of for each tag. Okay, it is of like while, do while, for each, all those things, right? That is a replacement for this one. This is the one for replacement. This is the good, this is tag is used as a good alternative for embedding JSP while, do while and for each loops using scriptlet tag. So inside scriptlet we will use of all these things. Instead of that we can use of for each tag. That is the best one. Okay, and this is the most commonly used tag because it iterates over the collection of object. Now let's take one example. I'm doing for each. Yeah. Now I have taken up some list of names. So I have taken some array of names. I have taken it. Okay. I want to iterate of these names. I want to iterate of these names. What I kept? I kept this data inside some scope. Which scope? Page context means application scope. I kept it. Okay, in the scope. So I can access in anywhere. Now by using of this for each items, the attribute is items. The attribute is of items will come. What are the items? That whatever the name that we are giving here, that we need to add here. Okay, for each variable name that I am giving as a name, begin index and end index, I don't want the first one and zero and first one, only second and third is required. So even that conditional logic also we can write it here. Now let's for each data core for each core for each dot JSP. Maybe JSP name is wrong core for each dot JSP. Let's restart it. No issue. Now let's run as this one. See, in this case, only third one and second and third is coming. 0 and first is not coming. Let's say, for example, if I am giving as 0, okay, 0, then let's see that all will come. It is for starting as well as ending index. The attributes are begin and end. Begin and end. Now let's try without this, maybe if it is working or not. Yes, without this also, if you want to add up only some limited data, then we can use of begin index and end index. Begin and end property child attributes, we can use it. Okay, this is for iterating of data. Now, if you want to use of some switch cases, choose switch case is there, right, in Java. So if you want to go for that, there is a one more tag that is called as choose. One more, that is choose is there. These tags are used for conditional statement in Java. C colon choose works like a switch statement. Okay. If you want to write off any Java switch statement to JSTL, then we can use of choose and otherwise tags. Okay. Now let's see with some examples. Now C colon, yeah, this everything is same. Now let's go to example. C colon choose. Yeah. So what I'm doing, I'm setting some salary value is salary, the variable name, and scope equal to session I kept, and value equal to I have given as minus 2002 into 2. That means 4000, right? Your salary is giving us directly it will give. Okay. Now I'm doing of some condition. I'm doing of some conditional check. C colon when inside choose when test salary is less than equal to 0, then salary is very low to survive. Okay, let's say if you are changing that amount to some different value, if salary is greater than 1 lakh, salary is very good. If anything is not there, no comments. Now let's run it. That name, rename it, take it. See, so your salary is minus 4000 and your salary is very low to survive. That from where it is coming? This switch case condition choose is executed. This part. This part is executed. Okay. Now, if I want to execute of this part, then change this value to some 60,000. Just assume. 1000 into 2, it is of 1,20,000, right? Now let's see your salary is good. It is the condition will modify it. See 1,20,000, your salary is good. If you want to based on some conditional statements, which case we can write off multiple conditions. If this is satisfying, this will execute. If this is satisfying, this will execute. Okay. Let's say for example, if I'm changing it to some 30,000. Okay. Now what is that? What it is coming? Salary is 60,000 and it is average, no comment on that. Okay, it is not too low, it is not too high. That's what it is giving of. If these two conditions are not serving, default is there, right? That is of otherwise. The default means that is the reason it is giving of no comment. Okay. Now next what is that? You can write off any conditions, guys, however you want. C colon for tokens. Okay, it is a specialized version of for each for performing of string tokenization. String tokenization based on some delimiter. Let's say I have some string is there. I want to split it. I want to split that value. Then based on some, now let's say some string, just assume. What is that? Let's take it this only. Now in Java, if I want to split this value, what we need to do? String data, get tokenizer, or string data, split of that, some value we need to give. Based on that, it will split and it will give some array, right? Instead of that, so I can do here also by using of for tokens. Okay. Now let's say I have taken off this list of names. Okay. Now what is the delimiter for all of them? All of them are separated by using a dot, right? That is of delims. Okay. Now let's go to what is that JSP? This one. What is that? Delimiter for tokens. Yeah. Yeah. Here, what I'm doing here, I'm giving as separator as comma. Here in the delimiter also given as comma. If I'm giving dot means then it will not work. All the names are separated by using comma, right? Now by using for tokens it will iterate like for each. See, all are iterated like it is a for each loop. Okay. Now for tokens for iterating of the data. This one. Next is MVC design pattern. Okay. MVC design pattern. So what is MVC design pattern means? If you want to develop of any application, okay, if you want to develop of any web application, so the view components means so the client can see those components, we can see as a view components. Okay, some database related thing is there, we'll call it as a model. The kind of servlet will is there, right? That will call it as a controller. Okay, so the MVC control means by using MVC, we can develop the web application by segregating all the layers. So presentation logic, view logic, and the database, everything we can divide it. So the database connection will call it as a model, and the JSPs will call it as a view, and servlets will call it as a controller. Okay, it is a solution for repeatedly occurring problems in the project. Okay, so by using till now whatever we have discussed without using MVC design pattern, if you are using of MVC design pattern, then the project will be easy to maintain that. Okay, first what is design pattern means? Design pattern is a solution for the commonly occurring problems in the project. For that, by using of this one, we are facing some problems. For that, some people are some architects are designed one design pattern that is called the MVC design pattern: model, view, controller. Divide all the parts, and then it is easy to maintain the project easily. Okay. Model means this component contains the code related to business logic, like database related things. Okay. If you want to from controller to database, if you want to interact, we can use model component. View component means it is responsible to display some information to the user by using like client HTML pages is there, whatever that login page, index.jsp, right? Those things, those logics, we can write as a, we can call it as a view components. Now, next controller. Controller is the one which gets the data from the view component means from the JSP and creates an object and by calling of appropriate model component. Okay, so if you want to save of any data, then get the data from the form and process the logic, any validation, and pass that value to the model to save the data into the information. Okay, that will see one example that I'll show you. One project is there, guys. No worries. This is the all this will be available in the container. Views, J models, and controller all will be available in the container. And this is of client, means browser. If any request is coming, it will come to controller. Controller will process the logic and it will call to the database. From the model it will call to the database and it will return back, and then it will return to controller. Controller will return to JSP. JSP will render the response to the client. This is of the flow, guys. We'll see some project also is there. Now let's say for example, I have some banking project is there, guys. Okay. Now this is of my banking project which I have created. Okay. Now you can see of how we can see of the data which is available in the, we can create account, adding, transferring amount, deposit amount, withdraw amount, all those things that we can see. Now let's go and see in the browser. This is the application. By using of Servlet and JSP, I have created this application, guys. By using Servlet and JSP, I have created this application. Okay. Now, if I want to create new account, I don't have account, just assume for time being now. Let's create a new account. Okay. Let's username equal to give as mm, Pooja 1. Okay. Now password is also Pooja 1. Our schooling card number is 1234. Address Bangalore. And email pooja@gmail.com. Mobile equal to some mobile number. Okay. Now create account. Pooja on Pooja 1. Okay. Let's see. So your account is created. Click here. Now Pooja 1, Pooja 1. Now let's log into the application. See, it is of welcome to Pooja 1. The name I have given that, right? So welcome to online bank, created account, right? Now let's create a one account which we want to use it. Saving account, create a BNG. Let's, already one account is created. Okay. Now if I want to deposit some amount to the account, now we have, you don't have any account. Let's wait, create account, withdraw. Now let's, why it is not, account is created, right? You don't have any account. Okay guys, no problem. This project I'll explain tomorrow, the code also. Okay. Oh, I see there is some error. Account number, table where Pooja one original text, table or view does not exist. Okay, I'll see tomorrow. We'll see this one, guys. Okay, no worries. Tomorrow I'll explain this project with code walkthrough also. I'll explain it. Okay, that's what for today's. Explain this project tomorrow, guys. I'll give it also. You can practice it. Okay. Yeah. Thank you, guys. We'll see tomorrow.